Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. You've got Matt and Garrett back with you again. I love sharing time with everybody out there, and the time that I get to spend with this wonderful gentleman every morning, well, every couple mornings, which is Matt Benelli. We are excited to bring another topic to you today, another discussion that Matt and I felt is important to the world that we're in right now and the business that everybody's trying to build. I don't care if it's real estate, if you're an insurance broker, if you're in mortgage, if you own an ice cream shop. What we're going to talk about today is something you should be thinking about in your business. If you're curious to know more about Ninja Selling, go to ninjaselling.com. If you want to know more about our coaching program and all of our coaches that can coach you in real estate, but can also coach you in your ice cream business. It can also coach you in your insurance business. We cover it all. We cover Ninja and how you apply it into businesses. We can help you with that. And then if you want to learn more about mastery for installation graduates, we have that at the Ninja Selling website also. And with that being said, I did this last time. Go check out the Facebook group also, the Ninja Selling Podcast. You will find an amazing group of people there, like-minded individuals that enjoy what we're talking about. I would love to say you guys all love everything we talk about. You guys all greatly enjoy what we talk about, and you come back for more. You'll find more of you there. And Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. I would love to start an ice cream business. Even though everybody knows I love like health and fitness and everything, a good ice cream business would be awesome. That would be so much fun.
So I really enjoy talking in general, just to people, and what I would like about an ice cream business, Matt, is I would thrive on being the ice cream vendor in the park with the cart.
We're going to talk to everybody, see what their special flavors are. I mean, it's all happy. It's all happy times at the ice cream cart.
I would have nice little music going on. I'd have my umbrella. I'd just push that thing around. I mean, even downtown, I would love going like in the evenings, just strolling around downtown with my ice cream cart, talking to people, sharing the day. How was your day? Oh my gosh, what do you guys want? Like, there's something really appealing about that. Someday I'm going to have my ice cream cart.
So if you guys want Garrett's ice cream cart in a city near you, just drop in the comments in the Facebook group on this episode if you would like to see Garrett's ice cream cart in your town.
I would have every night I'd have so much fun. They would hear the music from a block away going, oh, he's close. Be great. Okay.
Well, we're not here to talk about ice cream, even though we love it. We have kind of like Garrett, we're going deeper on a topic we talked about. I think it was sometime last year we had Larry on. We talked about this, or we talked about this as a follow-up from a conversation we had with Larry. I forget about it, but it's the law of procession, right? And you brought some increased in-depth thoughts on this. And I think it's great that we talk about this now because it is a key factor in what we see a lot of highly successful ninjas doing right now in their business to create waves, create opportunity, attract business their way without doing the traditional salesy kind of stuff out there.
And Matt, I want to put a little disclaimer on this. When we say, and we're going to say probably in this episode numerous times, create waves, these are positive waves. Yeah. I think a lot of times when people hear like, oh, so-and-so is creating waves in the office or so-and-so is doing this or whatnot, it can be taken in a negative way of like, oh gosh, they're just they're rocking the boat. Darn it. Like, don't rock the boat. This is not about rocking the boat.
No, we're surfing. We're creating surfing waves.
This is energy waves going out that are positively affecting the world around you is what we're talking about creating waves. So, Matt, I know we talk about the law of procession. We've talked about in the past. Quickly, like when we have an example that we use of the pond and the rock.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that real quick so people have a clear understanding kind of like of where we're coming from with this?
Yeah. I mean, so the law of procession, Larry had described this to us. And basically what it is it's taking a 90-degree angle from what you're actually there doing. So when you picture a pond, if you throw a rock in the pond, if you drop it, right, the rock's going to go straight down, but the ripples go perpendicular to that rock on the surface, right? And the thought is in your business and in conversation is when you're there having a conversation with someone, hey, Garrett, we're here talking about your transaction, or we're here talking about ice cream. And then I ask a question that takes me perpendicular to that in a completely different direction. You come to my ice cream cart, I come to your ice cream cart, actually. we're having a conversation about flavors, what I love about ice cream. And you say, that's fantastic, man. Like, tell me a little bit more about what you do for a living, right? And now all of a sudden we're in a different discussion, which could lead to incredible opportunities. Larry shares the story about how he created like 10 deals based off of using the law of precession in a sequence with all these deals were connected. And so using the law of precession in all of these conversations just opened up all these different opportunities, which I'm sure if you search for the episode, you will find it. But essentially, that's what we're talking about, the law of precession.
Well, and where I look at like where we get misled sometimes, and I'm going to take like the idea of like writing a handwritten note. Let's use the handwritten note in relation to the rock being thrown into the pond. We write the handwritten note and we go, did it make an impact? And when you drop the rock into the pond, you can look at it and say, okay, did it hit the water? And did it hit the pond? Yes, it did. You see the splash. That's great.
Yeah.
You get the handwritten note out there. You go, okay, did it make an impact? Yes or no? You can tell real quick. I got a thank you letter back. I got a note back. I got something back. Great, made an impact. What we don't pay attention to, and this is what I try to get so many people that I coach to understand, it's not the damn note that's making the impact there. That's the win. It's not the rock being thrown in the pond that we're like, oh, look, a little splash. It's that moment that you stop, give it a little bit of time, and these ripples now expand out from that one activity of throwing the rock into the pond. When you write that note, days later, you're top of mind. You've made an impact in their world. You've brought energy into their world, and your ripples are now spreading out as they go through their days. And then they go talk to their spouse and they go, my gosh, I got the nicest note from Matt Bonelli. Like, we haven't talked to him in so long. We should get together with him for dinner or drinks sometime here coming up soon. We haven't seen them in so long. And these ripples just keep going out. And all of a sudden they talk to their friend who might be thinking about buying or selling real estate. And these ripples are continuing to go out. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, do you guys know Matt Bonelli? Like, I got to get you guys in tune with each other because like he can help you with this. Like, he's a master at this kind of stuff. Every phone call, every note, every lunch, every real estate review sends these ripples out. And what I would encourage people to start to understand is that some of these are pebbles you're throwing in. Like a nice little 5-minute Ford phone call, 2 to 3 minute phone call, you might be throwing a pebble in the water. A real estate review per se, you might be dropping a damn boulder off the side of a cliff into the water, and you make this massive impact. This massive wave comes off of it. And this is where you're like, okay, those ripples now really have this chance of going out and affecting the people around them. And these are the things we're trying to create. The win is not the act of throwing the rock into the pond. The win is how far are these ripples now expanding out from the impact that we made.
Yeah. So there's really 2 layers of what we're talking about, right? It's, how do you, one, take a conversation perpendicular so you can learn more stuff? And then how big can we make those ripples in order to create this effect that comes back? And we talk about this so much, and I think it's been highlighted on almost every recent episode. The intention that you bring with throwing these rocks is very, very important as well. Right? Because you're like, ooh, I'm going to just step up my notes then and write more detail and do this because it's going to get me more business is not the mindset that we want to have. Knowing that business can result from this stuff is awesome, right? I mean, we all want more business, but saying to yourself, how do I create a different level of energy with this person? With you, me stopping at your ice cream cart and you asking me more questions, you're not like, I want to learn more about Matt so I can sell him ice cream to his business. I just really want to learn about this person and create the most wonderful ice cream cone experience that he could possibly have today. This could be his only moment of joy today, coming up and getting ice cream, because it's always a moment of joy. No one goes, well, crap, I have to go buy ice cream now. Everyone goes, yes, it's time for ice cream. And you're like, I want to make it outrageously good, because he could leave with saying, that was nice, I got some good ice cream. Or he can leave with, that was the best thing that happened to me today. And that's the intention that you want to bring to creating these ripples.
And I think when we get clear on the intention and what we're trying to accomplish with it, like it totally changes the game. So for instance, I had a call yesterday, and one of my clients, she did an ice cream party and she had 30 people come, and she was like, I don't know if it was worth it. She goes, I spent like $300, setting up the thing, and, I prepaid the ice cream so that, all this stuff. And She said, I just don't know at the end of the day if it was worth it. And I said, but you got to look at what was the impact. And she goes, well, only 30 people. That's the people I was able to impact. I said, but was it really? Like, how many phone calls did you make to invite people to the ice cream party? She goes, oh man. She goes, I called so many people. All right. How many texts did you send to remind people that the ice cream party was coming up? She goes, I had lots of communication through that. She said, it was just a bummer because like people had baseball games for their kids and they had other stuff and they weren't able to make it to the party. And she kept looking at the impact is what she's making, the impact of that rock hitting the water. And what she was failing to see was all the actual energy that was pouring off this thing all the way around the activity of setting up this ice cream party. And that's what we're trying to really open up the doors around, because that's where the business happens. The business does not necessarily happen out of the single note. It doesn't happen out of the single phone call we make. Every once in a while it does. And those of you that are like in the hunt for business, yes, you get that little endorphin rush where you're like, it worked. I got it. I made a phone call. I got a piece of business. Yes. Like I knew this system worked. And if you can let go of that and realize that there's this much bigger pond that one little system you just saw work in, and you're not bouncing and leaving that energy and going off to the next thing going, did it, done. That system worked, moving on to my next thing. And you understand that if I do this right, these waves are passing out all over everything. And instead of that one little business that I got lucky with, which congratulations, you got it, there's 100 pieces of business out of here over the next 10 years.
It's huge too. When you're sharing that story, it's like, oh, they couldn't make it because they had these prior game and kids' baseball games and all this. I'm like, awesome. Now we know how to follow up with those people. How was the baseball game? Sorry, you guys couldn't make it to the ice cream, but how was the baseball game? Here's an even opportunity to go above and beyond. They were at the baseball game, really bummed about not being at the ice cream. What if we sent them some ice cream and said, hey, I know you guys couldn't make it, so here's some ice cream for you from the shop, right? Now, obviously, you have to work about logistics and melting and all that kind of stuff, but forget about that for a second.
Why are you going negative, Matt?
Well, I think about, no.
Why they make Yeti coolers and dry ice and all kinds of stuff.
We could do so much. And you have to think about like how big can you make the waves with intention too? Think about a little kid in a bathtub, right? There's like in the bathtub, you like splash your hands and it makes a wave. And then the little kid's like, whoa, this like, if I keep doing this, look at the waves.
I used to get so much trouble.
I used to get in so much trouble too.
You'll remember my mom yelling at me about water outside the bathtub.
And then I'm sure your kids then did it too. And you're like, yeah, I get it now.
Sarah even yells at me today because I still enjoy it just as much.
So that is it's like, okay, we shouldn't be looking at opportunities. Let me just drop a rock over here and a rock over here. How can I keep patting my hands into this water and making these big waves? And you think about the joy that creates too, right? Like these are joyous moments for a kid in a bathtub doing this, or an adult in a bathtub or a pool, in your case, Garrett. And it's like, if we could bring that level of energy to these conversations and really learn about people, and this goes back to what we talked about, I think a few episodes ago about, don't just check the box. And it doesn't take a lot of time. Does it take more time than you're investing into it right now? Probably. It probably does.
Yeah.
Which probably is saying that maybe you're not investing enough time into your on the business stuff. Instead, we're focused on what marketing strategy. How do I get these leads? How do I do this? And when it's like, we got people in front of us. We just need to use the law of procession to our advantage and to their advantage to make their day and to learn more. And then it creates those ripples, which is a wonderful thing.
So just for fun, to play at this for a second. So let's say you have a pond, Matt, and you got an hour. Let's say your hour is what the traditional month would be for a real estate agent to do all of these, or let's say a week. Sorry, let's go to a week for an agent to do all these systems, but we're only going to use an hour while we're sitting by the pond. We've got 50 live touches that we're going to make this week. That's the goal, is to make 50 live touches. All of you who follow Ninja know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to ask 54 conversations, interview people, learn stuff about them, no real estate unless they bring it up first. Well, every call we do is like throwing a rock into this pond. Now, we coach people all the time that don't hit the 50. they're like, I did pretty good. I talked to like 30 people. It didn't hit 50. Well, okay, so we missed 20 opportunities is what we did. Well, you go back to this pond and you got an hour here. And I can start throwing pebbles into the pond, or let's just say rocks. We're just throwing rocks into this pond. We throw one in and we get these ripples that go out. Now, if I can sit there with a routine and throw out a rock, let's say if I've got 50 of these I'm going to throw out, that means literally give or take about every minute or so, maybe a little over every minute, 5 seconds or so, I'm going to throw one of these rocks in the pond. What happens is this pond gets this energy going with it. Like the ripples never stop. There's always ripples crossing back and forth. If you just keep this rhythmic, every minute we throw this rock in, ripples go out. We throw another one, ripples go out. At some point, we've now fully disturbed the smoothness of this pond. It's not a smooth pond anymore. There's all kinds of energy bouncing around all over the place. And this is where when people stop throwing the rocks in the pond, they go on, they leave for a while, or they stop doing their systems. This thing, it takes a little bit, but it smooths back out, levels back out, and all of a sudden the ripples are all gone. And they go, oh gosh, I should get back to doing my ninja systems. And they throw a handful of rocks in the pond. Sometimes they throw 10 in at a time. And they go, whoo, that was a good day. I feel like I caught back up. And we leave then for another couple of days. This is like, if you can keep the disturbance in the pond, if you can keep that energy going all the time, these are the things that just start to affect more and more people. And at some point, somebody around the edge of the pond goes, who's throwing rocks? Like, what's going on?
Those ripples start to hit each other, which is what,
who's causing this to happen? And this is all of a sudden where they're like, oh, it's Matt Benelli. Like, who would have known? Like, man, how are you doing? And it's just because this energy is always going out there. And if you're just doing it every once in a while, that person walks up to the side of the pond, looks at it and goes, man, what a still, peaceful pond. And they walk on. And we're like, they never knew Matt Benelli was sitting by the side of it on his iPhone playing whatever.
Well, as you were describing that, I was thinking of ripples, as this pond's getting active, full of energy, those ripples start to hit each other. And maybe that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish is we can create a ripple, but if it just goes all along by itself and hits the shoreline, it goes away, right? Whereas if it hits another ripple, it creates another opportunity. That to me is like, oh, this ripple, this 90-degree conversation that we've entered in now hit another one, which creates another opportunity, another connection, another conversation versus just because like you could also ask a perpendicular question and then be like, oh, that's cool. And then just move on. Right. And I think that's what happens a lot too when we have conversations is we get so focused on the next question we're going to ask or the next person we're going to call that we just go, oh, that's great. That's what you do. Very nice. Awesome. And we don't ask more questions. We don't say, tell me more. And then that's when the pond starts to calm out. So I don't even think it's as much as just walking away from throwing rocks. It's, just not engaging what's going on there and just kind of still slowly dripping things in, Garrett.
You want to watch the pond. And I think that's what you're saying is like, It's one thing to throw the rocks and be like, look at all the waves I'm making over there. But when you stop and like analyze the waves you're making, the patterns you're making, what's going on, how this is affecting it, like this is where after the rock was thrown, a minute later, you're still watching these ripples go and you're still paying attention to it. And you're picking up the nuances of where opportunities are things that are happening. And I think when it goes back to our Ninja 9, you're throwing in 50 rocks every week of these contacts. You're throwing in these 2 big ones, big impact lunches that we're going to make or sit downs with people where it's like, that's a bigger rock than just the 5-minute phone call. It makes a bigger wave of energy that's going to go out. Real estate reviews, big rocks going in. Notes, less of them, really powerful though. So that would be less of them. Again, a big size rock going to make a big impact with people. And then we look at like social media and things like that. All of these are rocks in impact. Now, some of these you're throwing into a stranger's pond, just so you know, not your pond, when you're doing social media and you're going big like that, which is okay, totally fine. And for the most part, we want to make sure that we're making these waves in our own pond because this is where we have the most influence in. But all of these things, everything that everybody's doing out here is throwing these rocks in. And
I love it.
That's why I wanted to talk about this today, Matt. It's like, just take a step back and look at your pond and and your pond is your database, by the way. When you look at your database, look in there and say, am I creating energy in the form of these rocks being thrown in that's causing this energy to go out? And how is it affecting these people? Is it even making a connection with them at all? See where it goes.
Yeah. Well, I love it, Garrett. And I'll give one practical piece of advice, and then I'd love to hear your practical action item here. Is that, one thing that comes to mind with all this is, what did I learn about this person, and what do I do next when you're recording your forward conversations? And from all of this ripple effect that you're creating is coming back and saying, what did I learn when I spoke to this person, and what can I do next? That's the way that you can keep those ripples alive, because now you're also starting to pre-plan and be proactive with your frequency of flow with these people, which is going to help. That's the toddler pushing it back into that bathtub, right? So what's one thing that you would say, hey, this is something that you can do to make sure that you're keeping these ripples alive?
I think it's the get in the habit of using the question, tell me more about that. As you start communicating with these people and you start throwing these rocks in and we start having more conversations, your job is to get interested in them and say, tell me more about that. And the more so you can do that, they're going to be like, oh, well, here, yeah, let me tell you about what we did on this trip or this project that we're working on. This is where Larry talks about opening up all of a sudden a light conversation that then starts into a commercial building downtown that they're trying to figure out how to get through planning, and they're struggling on certain things. It's like all of a sudden we start opening up these doors. So that's my thing, is that if you're going to bother to have the forward conversations, it's not just about going, okay, I learned something about the family, I learned something about the occupation, the recreation, the dreams. Take that thing that you learned and go one step deeper and say, tell me more about it, and see if you can help those waves go across the pond. Because the more you show interest, the more you show connection and concern, the more that then will affect them when they go out and talk to all the people around them, that there's a transfer of energy there is what you want.
I love it. I love it. So there you go, guys. Create some ripples.
And this is not real estate, by the way.
No, this is ice cream.
This is ice cream. This is if you are on the board at your kid's school, the PTA, and you want to make, big connections and get involved in the group. This is all the same stuff. This is all just communicating with people, opening up opportunities, being engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to create more, this is the more that you can create no matter what you do. So, well, Garrett, thanks for bringing this topic. Great one. Great one. Always enjoy going down these paths with you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, we love it. We appreciate all the wonderful notes and energies and comments that we get inside our Facebook community, which you can join by going on Facebook and searching for the Ninja Selling Podcast. And if you guys want to learn more about ninja selling, as Garrett said at the beginning, head over to ninjaselling.com. All the information is there for you. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.